Hello, my fellow good-looking B&G Resis. I am here with Kishen.
Hello.
Hi. For episode 2 of B&G Radio, we have a very special episode lined up for you all today. We're doing a segment titled Clueless Content, and Kishen just gave a thumbs up. Not that you guys can see that, but yes.
Oh, sorry.
So basically what's going to happen in Clueless Content is we are each going to teach the other person something that the other person knows little to nothing about. So Kishen is going to teach me all about, what are you going to teach me about, Kishen?
Well, it was going to be the origins of curry, but I've largely changed that to it's just going to be curry. So we'll have fun with that rambling. And Paris is going to teach me about, I believe, axolotls?
Axolotls, one of the cutest creatures in Mother Nature.
I searched them up before this episode, and they look like gremlins, but like pink. And that's what confuses me the most. I don't know what they are and why they exist. Like, what is their, you tell me, Paris.
I agree. They look like worms with legs and smiley faces.
Yeah, but like comical smiley faces.
Yeah. What I think is so cool about axolotls is they have this incredible ability to regenerate their limbs. But like not just their limbs. Like you can cut a bit of their spinal cord out and they can regrow their spinal cord. Which means that
So if you like cut an axolotl like right down the middle, it's just gonna regrow.
You would probably kill it if you did that.
Okay, cool. So it's not immortal. Okay,
it's not completely but like you can cut out pieces of their liver and they'll grow their liver back and stuff. Like you know how like lizards grow back their tails?
Yeah.
With scarring and stuff. Axolotls, you can cut off their tail and they will grow it back and it'll look exactly the same as it used to. There will be no scarring at all.
But why?
It's pretty cool. Let's say we hypothetically amputate the left leg of an axolotl. Afterwards, the cells at the base of the leg, they like lose their identity. So instead of being skin cells or blood cells, they behave more like stem cells, like the generic cell, I guess. And then they're technically called pluripotent cells, but anyway. And that type of cell, the pluripotent stem cell, can adapt to make any cell or tissue necessary for the body to repair itself. So using these pluripotent stem cells, our hypothetical axolotl that we have maimed by removing its left leg would be able to completely and perfectly regenerate itself.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
I have two questions here.
Tell me.
Have you seen The Amazing Spider-Man, the lizard?
You know I have, yes.
So why don't they just make the villain based on axolotl? Because if lizards can just grow their tail.
I've actually considered this. I have considered this so many times. I remember first watching that movie when it first came out, knowing, like, being obsessed with axolotls as I am, and watching it and being like, why the fuck? Axolotl man would be so much more interesting.
Because also the dude has cancer. Like, that's his thing, right? Lizards just grow back their tails.
Yeah.
Axolotls grow their livers back? That's so confusing.
Well, there's already so much potential in axolotl research to provide help to cancer victims and burn victims and amputees.
Wait, is this like real life? Or
this is actually like they do studies on axolotls to help people like burn victims and cancer victims and amputees and stuff like that. And like this is why axolotls are so favored in the scientific community. They did this one experiment where they modified the genetic makeup of axolotls to include the green fluorescent protein that make jellyfish glow, like some types of jellyfish glow green.
Yeah.
And so not only would like axolotls as they are really cool, but they would inject it into an axolotl and it would like glow fluorescent green. So you could actually see the internal workings of it. of the axolotl, and so you could track how the cancer was able to spreads around the body of the axolotl, because axolotls are immune to cancer. They can't. They are, well, not immune, but they're 1,000 times more resistant to cancer than any other animal.
Okay, so I have a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on my non-existent knowledge of biology, having dropped out in year 9,
mm-hmm.
Are axolotls technically like immortal if nothing? Because can they die? Like, that's my real question.
Can they die?
If they can lose like limbs and stuff and just regrow them, if they lose, like, if an organ doesn't work anymore and they can just like get rid of it.
I wish they lived forever. But they live quite long considering they've been known to live up to like 15 years in the wild.
Shit.
Which is pretty cool.
And where do they live?
They're native to a very, very small region of Mexico. So they were revered by early Aztecs and stuff, who built their capital city on the islands and lakes that the axolotls inhabited.
What the fuck?
And then when the Spanish invaded in 1521, I believe, they drained the lakes and stuff, and they built all their cities where these axolotls used to live, which is a huge reason why, like, it was a huge contributor to why they're now an endangered species, and they're very close to extinction, because they only inhabit, the only place you can find axolotls in the wild is the Xochimilco Lake complex near Mexico City.
God fucking damn it.
But you can also find them at your local, like, fish aquatic store.
Nice. You can buy axolotls?
Yeah, you can get pet axolotls. They're really good pets too. They're really low maintenance. I
mean, I feel like if they can regenerate,
they just heal themselves.
Yeah, I feel like they've got it sorted. That's just really crazy.
Which is really cool. What's also really cool about axolotls is they're part of the salamander family. They're part of the Ambistomatidae family and stuff. But what's so unique to them is they're what's called neotenic, which means that they reach adulthood without going through metamorphosis. So it's kind of like they become adults without going through puberty. So it's like they retain all of their juvenile features. Mm-hmm. So like the average salamander grows up, they're born in the water, of course. They grow up, they lose their gills and dorsal fins, and they get bigger and they emerge onto land and they're mature. Whereas axolotls they have like these feathery external gills, and they will like remain underwater permanently. But on rare occasions, an axolotl will be like, no, I don't want to be an axolotl anymore. And they will just choose to undergo metamorphosis and turn into a salamander.
So you're
to put it very, very plainly.
Okay. So what I heard from this whole shebang is that axolotls are Pokemon that get to choose whether they evolve or not. Yes. An axolotl can just go, no, I'll become a higher base axolotl, or I'm gonna just become a whole new evolutionary line.
Yes. But more or less, it's very rare when that happens. But scientists have injected axolotls with iodine to basically recreate this metamorphosis in a lab.
And they've done it.
Yeah. So they've just been they've successfully basically turned axolotls into more or less salamanders.
And to confirm, salamanders are like land-based, correct?
Yes. They're amphibious.
So that would just be if I one day was like, yo, man, puberty isn't my thing. I just really, really, really want to be able to fly.
Just grow wings. Right there.
I'm just going to grow wings. That's it. I will be the angel. Why? I don't get it. Does anything eat the axolotl? Is there
they've got predators. I imagine they've got there are certain fish and stuff in the lakes. Okay. They are endangered. They're an endangered species. They're very, very close to extinction. Wait, Kishen, you would find this incredible. Okay, last little fact about the axolotl. Yeah. They have what how do I explain it? They've got plug and play body parts where where you can take the leg, for example, hypothetically again, let's say we've amputated the left leg of our other axolotl that we talked about before. You can stick it to the side of another axolotl and the leg will grow. And you can do the same thing with just cells. You can take a few cells from one axolotl leg and then implant them at the side of another axolotl and another leg will grow.
Question. So does it require the axolotl who's gaining the body part, do they then have to like be -1? Like I don't know how many legs axolotls have. Like if an axolotl lose, so they have 4 legs. So if the axolotl A has 4 legs, loses one of its legs, can that one leg go to another axolotl that has 3 legs? Or can an axolotl theoretically have like 5 or 6 legs because of this reattachment thing?
You can theoretically, I mean, this has only been done in labs, but you can theoretically give an axolotl infinite amounts of legs.
What the?
Theoretically, you just stick the cells onto the side of the axolotl and another leg will grow.
That's such a broken animal. Like,
it's so just, whack.
But why? Like,
yeah.
Like, that would be so useful. Like, if we, like, as humans, if like one day, like someone like lost an arm or something due to war, and I'm just like, alright, homie, I'ma just,
I'll give you my arm. I'll give you my arm, my guy.
Bro, anyway, like, it's like, what?
Yeah. It's pretty freaking cool, but like it's led to some pretty morally compromising experiments. Like there was this one study published in 1968 where scientists managed to successfully transplant an axolotl head onto the back of another axolotl.
But why?
And because science. But like one subject was able to live for 65 weeks. But like it is pretty horrific.
Yeah, I feel like this, like, I think science is so dope and everything, and then I hear stuff like this and I'm like, STEM kids. I'm anti-STEM.
Stop.
No STEM.
This is why I dropped bio.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. I love this. I love the music student teaching the person who's never done science, like since year 8, year 9, about a biological fact. And I think this is so fun.
Yeah, well, like I'm pretty clueless otherwise.
Yeah,
like the axolotl is the only thing I can tell you in detail about.
That you looked at biology and you were like, no, this is the one subset of information I require for the rest of my life. I just need to know how axolotls work, and that's it.
Yeah, that's literally it.
Yeah, I am both like happy that I've learned this information and terrified knowing that there is a being out there that can just regrow stuff, give limbs and organs to other animals of its species. Like, why? Okay,
it's pretty fucking cool.
It's dope.
Axolotl, and also the fact that they do this while looking so damn cute.
Yes, that's true. They are
so cute. Everyone listening, get up a photo of an axolotl right now if you haven't already. They're just the cutest.
They are quite adorable. I think it's also like to do with like how like pinkish they kind of are as well. Because
they're just smiling. They're just smiling. They're just always smiling.
Yeah, whenever I think like a pink animal, I think like major poisonous vibes. Like that is an animal that's gonna like murder you if you try and eat it. But this bad boy, I'm not gonna eat an axolotl. I just want to point that out. I just think they look extremely cute.
They are so cute.
They kind of look like a Pokemon. I'm just not sure which one.
They do look like Pokemon.
Yeah, I think I've
real world Pokemon.
Done the amount of Pokemon references for this episode though. I think like 4 is like the appropriate amount, and I think if I do one
when
more,
it comes to axolotls, I don't think there's enough.
I think it looks like a mudkip. Like pull up a photo of a mudkip.
So does. Oh, and
it's just like,
does.
And I'm like, it kind of like the face, like
Well, you know, a lot of Pokemon were designed off animals and stuff.
Yeah, they're cute. Damn, that's why Mudkip best boy. I am now about to talk about curry. Which
I love eating curry, but I know nothing about curry.
See, that's why we came to this. So curry is fascinating. I would like to make some disclaimers here when I am about to discuss curry, I recognize that curry has such a large like metaphorical significance to a large amount of people, and therefore like this can be a highly personal topic for people. It's just letting people know out there that this is what's happening. And I'm also like just like one tiny member of like a huge South Asian diaspora. And in my rush to like produce this piece, I've definitely glossed over like a bunch of evidence and a bunch of like opinions and theories like brought about by people within the community. And also like much like curry, my opinions on food writing and my opinions expressed here are bound to change and adapt. And I feel like the fact that I had disclaimers before this shows how deeply different our content is, Paris. Because I felt like you didn't need to like content warning axolotls.
Content warning, yeah.
Yeah, cute. And like my last thing is like I based a lot of what I've talked about here today. Like these aren't like thoughts I just came up in my brain one day. A lot of them have kind of come up from different writers, different books that I can potentially link in the comments of this video here. So what is curry? So I just want to bring your attention to like various definitions of curry, right? So there is a thing called a curry tree. Like that's like there's a thing called a curry tree, and if you look it up right now,
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, it's a thing, and it's so fascinating because I think in my like search, I remember my parents would call like curry leaves, and I'm like, that's just the white name for it. I could not find another name for this tree, like beyond the scientific name. It's just curry tree. Like how odd is that? Because curry doesn't really exist as like in any South Asian languages prior to like British occupation of India. Like I'm not saying that curry is a British invention. I think that's like extremely reductive. But I am saying the use of the term as we know it today is definitely an endpoint in colonialism. So that's a little tidbit, and I just don't want to go into colonial theory right now because it's my off day. So people can just research that on their own time. But I want to ask you this question, Paris. When you think of curry, like what's like one of the major like first things you really think about?
Oh, I think about spices.
Yes.
And chicken.
Spices and chicken. Oh, okay. That's definitely more precise than I thought. But like, you know what was fascinating? I was reading this. I went to Sydney like in the mid-sem break last semester, and I found this fascinating book that was like all about curry and all about like food writing. And the thing that struck me was that like curry as a definition, it can't really escape the idea of like spice or heat, for example, or at least the capacity for like heat. It's the reason why so many people like go to Indian restaurants and then they like ask like, hey, it's not too hot, is it? Or like they go like, make it actually spicy. But chilies are not native to India. They were actually brought to the Indian subcontinent from the Caribbean in the 15th century by the Portuguese. So think about this.
Okay.
I think that like so many people equivocate to curry, like chilies, right? It's not Indian. Like it's not like if you want to look for like authenticity, right? Like that's not what it is. And I think I just want to start with like a little small story and what comes to what my view and what I'm trying to impart upon you, Paris, today and a bunch of people is that curry is actually just a really good metaphor.
Okay.
So I'm just going to talk a little bit about like tikka masala, right? So when I was a kid, and probably when I say kid, and anyone who talks to me will know, probably up until 6 months ago, if anyone told me that like they were making a curry with like some cream or some butter, I would like be very eager to say that's a white man's curry. There was some sort of like pride or authenticity within myself by calling like people's curry as like inauthentic, simply because it wasn't based in the way that my family had made curry, right? But tikka masala, which is like this huge dish, which I hope a good amount of people know within this podcast, otherwise the story isn't really going to work.
And if you don't know what tikka masala is, you should Uber Eats some.
Yeah, really good shit. It's super tasty. I recommend the one from Blue Ginger. Definitely not. I think tikka is good, but Blue Ginger does it better. But tikka masala apparently was made when a Pakistani like restaurateur in England added some tomato sauce to an existing dish that some bus driver had complained was like dry, right? But it's fascinating because there's so many people within like an Indian diaspora who would be like, yo, tikka masala is like hyper authentic. But like reality, it was just someone added some like tomato sauce to an existing dish. And I'm just gonna keep talking a little bit about like the interesting things about like curry, right? So Collingham's 2005 book Curry traces how Indian recipes have been adapted or altered to suit like rulers, visitors, or colonial intruders upon like the Indian subcontinent over the years. For example, pulao rice, which I'm sure some of you will know, is a very common North Indian dish, but it definitely came from like the Persian/Anatolian like pilau rice. So it's fascinating to think that like so many people, right, have this sort of like curry is this one authentic thing, and curry is like it can't be changed. There's like a true curry type vibes, and it's like when we eat curry, you want like an authentic experience, right? When in reality, curry and like cuisine, like food in general, has largely been adapted year in year out, like based on both what is available to the cooks and what people want to eat. And to me, like that kind of begs the question, like, does that mean that the curry that you make, like the tikka masala, for example, was like inauthentic? You know, like, does that mean it's no longer curry because it's been made to like suit like a Western gaze or a specific type of taste? And I would argue no. I argue that like the Pakistani immigrant cooks in like 1970s England, they didn't abandon anything. They didn't abandon the spices of their rack or like the colonially informed cuisine they grew up in. Instead, they innovated and adapted a living cuisine to better suit the people that they were feeding, right? I think a fascinating way to think about this, and like curry and food in general, is like, think about cuisines you eat at home, right? Paris, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said you had an Italian nonna.
No, I wish I had an Italian nonna.
Wish you had an Italian nonna. So now this will not fly. But I think it's fascinating to think about the fact that, well, there's no such thing as curry. It's not a thing. It just kind of resembles like anything between dry to wet, vegetable to meat, assembled within a pot and has a gravy of some sort. You know what I mean? Because you have Japanese curry and like Thai curry and then like Indian curry, and like all those terms have like big quotation marks upon it.
Yeah.
I realized
I had this beautiful Afghanistan curry, like cuisine, which was incredible.
In Bamiyan, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, dude, Bamiyan slaps. And I think that also brings a fascinating point, is that like the raw authenticity of a place / like cuisine you're eating doesn't change how good something is going to taste to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you like butter chicken, I would like to now yield a formal apology to every single one of my friends within this college who I've talked so much shit about for liking butter chicken. So this is actually just an apology video. This is this
is a long-winded apology.
This is just a very long-winded apology about me going, A, curry is fake, it doesn't exist. B, people cook things based on what they have and to suit tastes. And butter chicken actually kind of slaps. It's
it does.
It's not a bad dish. It fucking slaps. And I'm so sorry. This also specifically goes out to Samuel Moore and Nero. I've never let me with it. But this is the only time I apologize, because I'm always correct. So that was a little bit of a like tiny rambling on curry and the history of curry. If anyone wants to know a bit more about it, feel free to ask me at any time. I love talking about like food writing in general, but I just realized that as I talk, the more I'm slipping into like colonial theory, and I am taking a break today, and I refuse to do any actual work. So as such, if anyone wants to chat about it, feel free to ask. I hope that was enlightening for people. I realized the metaphors were a bit specific, but Good luck.
That was really fascinating. Thank you. I have a question actually. I read somewhere, I could be wrong, that like the origin of curry, or at least spiced meat, came from the fact that in a lot of places, like around perhaps like Central Asia and stuff, and South Asia, where they had like didn't really have like it's just hot, and they just don't have refrigerators, and so they would spice the meat so you couldn't taste the rot.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's definitely like one like really big interpretation for like why curries is like so spiced. For example, why it's so strong is like kind of get rid of the rot. The issue with that story is like it's very hard to delineate between like what's fact and fiction, essentially.
Yeah.
In a lot of like curry like origin stories. Essentially, what's fascinating about is that Indian like British elites, right, after like the colonization of India and the occupation of India for a little bit, like when they moved back, they were doing this huge thing where like spices were like a really, really big export. Like it was a main reason to really be in India, and they like flavored their food. There was a bunch of demand for like curry, like prior to the 1950s, I'd say. Again, could be wrong. But after spices became more common for like British middle class and British lower class, like much more common to access, much more common to get, the elites then pushed this kind of like propaganda that you don't need to spice your British produce or your British meat because the meat is of such higher quality than it would be in India, and therefore you have to spice it. So while the like refrigerator like theory has kind of, I can see it having like actual backing. I do feel like I've read that somewhere, and like that's like a reason as to why things are so spiced.
But also, I believe that there'd be like a multitude of origin stories of curry in quotation marks.
Exactly, because it's so hard, I think, to like link down a living cuisine. Like it's not dead. Curry hasn't stopped. Curry has continuously evolved, right? And it like evolves based like not in like big restaurants, but in people moving. Like my parents are Malaysian, right? We've been Malaysian for like 3 generations now. When I think of Indian curry, what I'm really thinking about is Indian Malaysian curry. Do you know what I mean? It's something that continuously changes and evolves. So linking an origin story to something that has no definition is just hard. It's like kind of impossible. It could just be simply like one day people were like, I gotta eat meat, and they put fire to it and then water. Like that is also curry. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's why like I was looking through these origin stories for curry, and there's not a single one that I could find that wasn't kind of mired in some sort of like either like Hindu nationalism type vibes or like British colonization vibes, which are both not things I want to pander towards, but end up, just mired in the curry origin story. But that was a good question. Moral of the story, I'm just being like, everyone be critical of what you read, but no one knows. Like I don't know what curry is, and I think it's also not important. I think it's not important to know the origin of a dish you're having. I think it's good to like give credit where credit's due. Like, do you know the turmeric latte saga in like 2016?
You just remind me of the fact that my dad likes to make coffee in the morning with turmeric and like chili flakes. Yeah,
so it's fascinating. Like, it's mind blowing to me because I would laugh. Like, I'm like, that's such a weird conception. Like, why would you do turmeric and coffee? And like turmeric lattes, like when I think it like was 2016, 2015 when they really blew up.
They took off, yeah.
I was just very confused because I went from like my mom putting like turmeric in like milk once in a while, but that was like if I was dying. If I was sick, that's what my parents would kind of give me after dinner for like, it will like help you out. I don't know if it did or didn't, either way. But people like turmeric lattes in 2016. And there is a lot of discourse to be had around taking something from a culture and like appropriating it, or taking something from a culture and like not really giving proper credit where credit's due. But like turmeric latte, like the act of putting like turmeric and milk is not something that's like all over India. Like it's not like there's no like it comes very specifically from like more, I would argue, like more northern regions of India essentially.
Okay.
With like whole milk and turmeric. And it's just so mind-blowing to me that all this discourse around like turmeric latte and stuff was largely like and like why it's like bad, or like, you know, like chai tea. Oh my god, don't you know, like chai actually just means tea. So when you say chai tea, you mean tea.
TT,
Like,
yeah.
it's
Everyone
all
says
like
that.
it's all this like weird kind of like, it's all like, it's useful conversation to be had within the Indian diaspora. But to all my listeners here who are like, you know, come from the Indian subcontinent or are slightly related, like interested in like critical race like theory, or just like critical theory in general, would probably recognize that like this is not a useful conception. Like, I think discussing the origins of curry is so much more interesting than actually finding it out. I think it's so much more fun to like like try and see like, what do you think is authentic to something? What do you think is a good curry, for example? Is a far more interesting conversation to be had than being like, curry resolves down to this one specific story that I've heard before.
Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah.
It also undermines like all the other cultures and stuff that have had like that have developed their own types of curry, and
exactly. Like, it's so weird because like I think it's like, curry is so different because it's food. Food is like, at the end of the day, right? I'm gonna have this conversation about curry, and then tonight I'm gonna reheat curry and just eat it. And my personal relationship to curry is not some like long-standing like theory or thing I can like kind of lean back to. Oh, my ancestors ate this thing, and therefore I should like love it. No, I like curry because I've had it since I was a kid, and I love the taste. And I love some curries. I don't love all curries. I have a very specific like thing. I don't really like super creamy curries. I'm much more a fan of a drier curry, one that has goat preferably. That's my favorite type of curry my mom would make. Like, it's so extrinsically linked to survival. I'm eating this because I'm also a broke uni student, and I need to.
And I'm hungry.
Yeah, I need to eat food tonight. And like, I'm not gonna go pay like $40 for Uber Eats. I did it last night, actually.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe a slight reverse. I did get Uber Eats last night. This will all have to be edited out. I'm so sorry, Paris.
I'm not editing a thing.
Wait, really? This is gonna be a long episode. But do you have any other questions if anyone has questions for curry, feel free to DM me. I will respond sometime in the month. You're
pretty good, Kishen. You're pretty good at responding, as responding goes.
I think so. I think if it's like serious, I think I'm pretty good at responding to things. But I think if it's like colonial discourse, I'm like, okay, give me a second. Stop. But yeah. Oh, good.
Thank you. It's my day off.
Yeah, it's my day off. I just want to play video games. Thank you for teaching me about Axolotls, Paris, and apologies for people having to listen to my slightly rambling curry.
Do not apologize. Thank you so much, Kishen, for teaching me about curry. I hope that all of you listening out there at B&G have learnt a little bit something today, and a little bit entertained by our rambling discourse today.
Stay safe, B&G.
Yeah, stay safe, B&G. We're sending you lots of love. And that's a wrap.